Rivalry, history, passion, pride. This series explores football's bitterest clashes. This is Football Rivalries. Classic action and some famous names from Flamengo versus Fluminense.
The rival between Feyenoord and Ajax is amazing.
And Ajax-Feyenoord or Feyenoord-Ajax is something special, and it's a motivation for every player to be part of it.
Normally the people are pretty laid back in Holland, you know, very down to earth. But with this match it's just something different. The people talk about it the whole week, they make fun on their work, at home, jokes, you know. The match is sold out, of course, already for weeks.
Feyenoord is a religion, really. It's every time when you're going out bed, you think about Feyenoord. It's maybe your wife, your second home.
Feyenoord Ajax is the game of the year. Like Celtic and Glasgow Rangers, it is the game.
De wedstrijd.
Rijkaard steeds meer voorin. Prima schot en wat een mooie goal zeg. Oh!
Yeah, it left a wonderful impression. I think it was a wonderful moment, but getting to know really important football players with a lot of quality, that's like an inspiration.
But there was one star who outshone them all.
The biggest pride probably which you felt inside is when you're very young, you grew up at the street playing the game all the time, and probably the first time I've played in the Ajax stadium. I don't remember even the game, but just going out there and play your first game, I think that's the most satisfactory you can ever imagine.
Johan Cruyff was the biggest star in the generation that put Dutch football on the map back in the 70s. And the success of both clubs in that era kick-started the rivalry.
I think the rivalry became particularly strong, let's say beginning in the 70s. Because at that time, arguably, you had the best two teams in the world. Feyenoord was world champion in '71, the first Dutch team ever, first to win the European Cup and then to become world champion. And Ajax, of course, did it Feyenoord in 1970 and Ajax in 3 consecutive years after that. Ajax, of course, you had these players, Cruyff and Neeskens and Blankenburg and Krol. They all had long hair. You know, they had the rebel look. You know, as if rock and roll had gone onto the pitch.
Still to come, football Brazilian style. We explore the rivalry between Flamengo and Fluminense. Rio de Janeiro, home to a near 100-year-old rivalry. Flamengo against Fluminense, or Fla-Flu.
The rivalry of a Fla-Flu won't die. It won't end. Fla-Flu is full of romance. It's one of the most passionate and thrilling derbies in the history of Brazilian football.
These are the Fluminense fans, joy and beauty, the nobility of Rio.
Ever since I was a child, I wanted to be able to make my own history in a game like Fla-Flu.
It was always my dream to play in the Maracanã and pull on the Flamengo shirt, and my dream has come true.
Before the universe existed, there was nothing, apart from a Fla-Flu.
They're from the favela, the scum of the earth. This is Fluminense.
People say that football is a religion in Brazil, and these two sets of fans certainly are passionate about this great rivalry that is Fla-Flu.
Behind the allure of Rio's beaches and spectacular setting lie two parallel cities. Rich and poor coexist side by side. Flamengo, the People's Club, and Fluminense, originally drawing its members from the middle and upper classes of Rio society.
Flamengo are the more popular side. They're the club of the people and the masses. So that's the rivalry. One club is the elite, the other the people.
Here in the leafy middle-class neighbourhood of Laranjeiras is where it all began. The heart of the rivalry lying in both clubs' origins. For Flamengo and Fluminense started as just one club at the turn of the 20th century.
These two clubs have the biggest rivalry in Rio, the biggest rivalry in Brazil. Why? Because Flamengo were born from Fluminense.
Oscar Cox, a Swiss-born Brazilian student, founded Fluminense Football Club in July 1902. An elite-run club, Fluminense soon dominated football in Rio over the next few years. But all was to change in 1911. After a dispute over who should manage the team, 9 dissatisfied first-team players decided to jump ship and join a local rowing club, Flamengo.
From this point, Fla-Flu was born, with all its charm and appeal. It's said that Fluminense is the father of Flamengo. 1 year later, in 1912, the first Fla-Flu was played.
But Flamengo lost against all expectations. The myth of the derby was born.
And so Flamengo are always trying to free themselves from this dominance. Since the very beginning, the derby is charged with this sense of folklore.
And it's this folklore of a Fla-Flu that's just as important as the game itself. Put simply, Fla-Flu is characterised by the myths, legends, stories and names that surround it.
There are so many statistics and stories surrounding this game, and I feel so proud to be involved.
Even its very name is the stuff of legend. Fla-Flu, a colourful phrase that conjures up countless images. Originally coined by journalist Mario Filho in the 1950s.
The ingredients for its mythical status were there from the beginning. The journalist Mario Filho actually came up with the term Fla-Flu. Such an emblematic derby starts with its name, because anyone can repeat the term Fla-Flu in any language. Even its sound is colourful. So the derby is full of elements that make it much more than just a football match.
First and foremost, though, it's a football city. And a few games epitomise the effervescent spirit of Rio culture, quite like Fla-Flu.
We call Rio appealing, that's what we call it. It's an attractive and enchanting city. The clubs also have their charm, and the city really has a lot of history.
And despite boasting 4 top-flight clubs in the city, it's only Fla-Flu that truly captures the imagination. Flamengo's golden period was the 1980s, an era that contained countless trophies and a style of football that thrilled fans all over the world. It was encapsulated by one man in particular, Artur Antunes Coimbra. more commonly known as Zico.
Flamengo is my second home. It's my history. When people think of Flamengo, they think of Zico, and they know that I'm a part of the history of the club. I always dedicated myself to that dream. I went there with that perspective. My dreams were always to play for Flamengo, to wear the number 10 that Gida used to wear, who was a great hero in the club's history. And things went as I hoped they would. And Flamengo ended up becoming part of my life.
Undoubtedly the greatest player to pull on the famous red and black shirt, Zico scored over 500 goals for his boyhood club. Not to mention a record 19 times in Fla-Flus. To this day, he's still the king of Flamengo.
We were technical, we were disciplined, and we'd play the game the right way. We never disrespected our opponents. It was the greatest team I ever played in. And it was no coincidence that we won the trophies that we did.
Renato ainda tocou na bola, na barriga do Renato, confirmando, Renato!
Once again, Fluminense had run out winners. Not for the first time, the goal came in the final minute and Fla-Flu had another extraordinary chapter in its history.
Until the referee blows his final whistle, a Fla-Flu is never over. You have to concentrate the whole time.
Despite other teams dominating Brazilian football in recent years, Fla-Flu has lost little of its fascination. The fans may not flock in their thousands as they used to, but there's no doubting the desire both teams have of returning to their former glories. Derby night, and after all the build-up, this Fla-Flu is a typically impassioned affair. There's no place for Juninho in the starting lineup, but Renato Augusto and Cicero are both looking to put their stamp on the game. Renato relishing his role in Zico's famous number 10 jersey. Like so many before it, the game was all rather cagey. But then elation for Flamengo as they take the lead through Sosa. Both managers were feeling the heat of the occasion. Half-time and the usual media circus. Moments after the break and Fluminense had levelled through Cicero. It was game on. And with the match seemingly over, Fluminense struck in the final minute. Yet another Fla-Flu decided in the dying seconds. Cicero again with the goal, dreaming ever more of that European move. As the media swarmed around him, Cicero then is the latest player to secure his name in Fla-Flu legend. There's no doubting that the enduring myth of this fixture lives on. Flamengo Fluminense is quite simply a game apart. Thank you for watching. Make sure you don't miss more in the series of Football Rivalries.